We just talked about worrying about problems that you don't have yet. Well, how about worrying about problems that you don't have and probably never will have, right? I call this like, news media, right? How about the news media focus? Like looking at like all the problems going on in the world, all the problems going on in other people's lives, and and the crisis situations going on in the world, and just letting that consume all of your time, energy, and focus, right? We don't need to do that because look, that stuff is paralyzing. And I know, I get it. I think that social media somewhat is designed to keep us in this state of crisis mode, to keep us like focused on all these things that we actually don't even have any control over, right? There's like a little bit that you can do. Maybe you can do your part. Maybe you can get out and vote. Maybe you can, do your part to share your opinion with people you need to. But look, when your whole life is absorbed with crises that you don't have any control over, you're paying attention to all the latest earthquakes and all the latest disasters and things that are happening and all the political stuff that's going on in the landscape around you, and that's keeping you from being able to focus on your goals and your vision and moving forward with your business. Look, this is a huge distraction, and it's a major problem in the world today. How many times have you been scrolling along on your phone, looking at things that you have no control over? They're not even your problems. And all of a sudden, it's been hours, right? It's been hours of looking through this, worrying about problems that you don't have, you probably never will have. And even if you did have them, there's nothing that you could do about it, right? That stuff is holding you back. And I know some people love to be in crisis. They love to it can give you a false sense of significance in the world, sometimes to pay attention to these things. But I'd encourage you, hey, don't let yourself get distracted, because distraction is costing you more than anything else in your business. All right, here's the number 5 thing, because we talked about worrying about problems you don't have yet. We talked about worrying about problems that you're likely never going to have, and even if you do, you can do anything about it. How about worrying about problems that you do have, right? This is another distraction. Worrying about problems that you do have. We had early on when we first started doing events, we had one very successful event, and we sold a lot at that event and brought in a lot of revenue to the company. It was amazing. We were delivering for those clients. And then we had another sales event that we did shortly after that, where we made a mistake. And during the event, we just didn't do things quite right, the way things were lined up. And although it was a small event and we made well over 6 figures at the event, people buying into our program. But the next day, every single person that bought that program refunded. We're like, what just happened? It's like, I don't know, some groupthink got in there. It was really weird. Everybody refunded, and man, that just took the wind out of my sail. And I got to be honest, I was sick with worry about it. I was just thinking oh my God, I'm thinking about all the things that could go wrong here. And because of that worry about how that went down, and, it actually distracted me and paralyzed me for a minute. We didn't do another event for a couple of months because we were just kind of worried about oh man, well, if that can happen, that could happen again, and what did we do wrong? And but I'm telling you, and obviously when things go wrong, you can fix them, right? And that's what we had to do in our business. But worrying about it doesn't help. That's why the Bible says in Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 25, Jesus actually says, he said, don't worry about anything, right? Which of you by worrying can add a single day to his life? So he goes on so don't worry about what you're going to wear. Don't worry about what you're going to eat. He says, because your heavenly Father knows that you need all of these things. And so, look, I know that you've got problems, right? You have situations in your business that you're trying to face. My encouragement to you to be hey, be proactive, move, adjust to things that you can adjust, learn from mistakes, but don't allow yourself to get sucked into worry and dread over it. the Bible gives us some great instructions about it. Hey, don't worry, but rather just kind of cast these cares over onto the Lord, right? Do the things that you can do, but then like cast these things over to, a higher power. And the Bible encourages us to do that. Like it says that through prayer, we can do that. Like, hey, just transfer these things off. Like, hey, I'm not going to receive judgment and be weighed down by these burdens of what happened and worrying about what happened. I'm going to actually transfer responsibility of those things onto God and trust that He has a plan for my life and that everything is working together for my good, which is another great scripture to hold on to when things are happening that you didn't plan on happening. Everything is working together for your good. I have a great mentor who says that everything works for you. Like everything works. Everything that you do works. Look, the mastermind you bought that you didn't feel like got the results you wanted, that thing is working. It's working. The thing that you tried in your business, that's working. Not everything works for you. Some things work on you. Right? And so you learn from them, you grow from them, and then you get to the place where those things can work for you. But everything works. Everything is working together for your good. Some things working for you, some things working on you. So don't worry. Don't let yourself get caught up and paralyzed in worry. Sixth thing is this, and I know some of you guys out there, some of you entrepreneurs, some of you high achievers out there, like you like to win, right? You're a winner. You're always looking like to get the upper hand, to you just somebody you can conquer, right? Somebody you can challenge, and that's all cool. You got to flow in your gift and things like that. But sometimes winning, like an obsessive need to win, can be a distraction. Right? Because sometimes you don't need to win in order to get what it is that you want. I was reading this story about Gideon in Judges chapter 8, and in the story, it's a long story, so I won't get into all of it. But Gideon actually starts out with like a big army of like maybe 20,000 men, and just from an impression from the Lord, he decides he needs to whittle down this army, and he keeps whittling it down. He's sending people home, he's letting people go, and then he chooses what ended up to be 600 men, and the 600 men that made up Gideon's group is going to go confront the Midianites, I believe it was. And so all these Midianites are there, and they've been oppressing the Israelites. And so Gideon and his 600 men, they go and they scare off the Midianites, and they chase them down. And then the Ephraim, all the descendants of Ephraim and some of the other Israelites, they come together and they chase down the army, and they just completely destroy the Midianites. But afterwards, they confront Gideon and they said, "Hey, what is this thing that you did where you went out with 600 men and you attacked these guys?" And then, and they were confronting him, saying like, "Hey, you were like trying to get all the credit. You were trying to beat them without us, and you were trying to humiliate us." And these leaders who did not take any initiative, right? Who didn't do anything themselves, were trying to confront Gideon for not involving them. But Gideon, it is so interesting. He actually, in his response to his brothers, he says, "Hey, how much more of a victory was it for you than anything that I did? You chased these guys down. You ultimately captured the kings of the Midianites. And he gave them all of the credit. He's like, what you guys did was so much more important than what I did. And he did all that to keep the peace." Right? How many of us, if we were in Gideon's shoes, having just won this major victory for everybody, having just taken initiative when nobody else was willing to take initiative, how many of us would kind of be like, "Hey, you weren't doing anything, right? And you don't deserve any credit," and all this stuff. But Gideon was like, "No, I'm going to keep the peace here. I'm going to keep us together." And he gives them all of the credit for what happened in order to appease them. And it was because Gideon had a focus on what it is that he actually wanted. Gideon could see that by keeping the peace, there was going to be peace, right? And that he was going to get what he wanted, which was a peaceful existence for his family and for all the Israelites at that time. So look, sometimes you don't have to win. It's not necessary that you win in order to get what you want all the time. So for all you winners out there, don't get distracted by having to win all the time. Like, who could you give credit to and avoid a fight, right? Who could you let win a battle with you, but you can still get what you want out of it. You don't always have to fight. Sometimes you can get what you want without having to win. The last distraction is this, number 7. I'm calling it paralyzing perfectionism. Paralyzing perfectionism. And for those of you out there who wrestle with perfectionism, you understand this, is that like one of the biggest distractions from moving forward with your dreams is the need to always have everything be perfect. Right? And I think we've all known, if you're not like this yourself, we've all known leaders, we've all known people that have required perfectionism from themselves and from their teams at the expense of division, at the expense of actually moving forward with their goals, right? I used to have a manager that just loved to like look over everything and every detail, and man, he loved to humiliate the team by finding things that they did wrong, right? And he put the brakes on everything until he had the opportunity to comb through it and make sure that everything was just perfect. I mean, everything, from like the smallest details to the largest things, everything had to be perfect. And he prided himself on like being able to find the things that were wrong with everything that was going on. Well, look, that's not only a problem for you if you're operating in perfectionism, but this is a problem for your team. It's paralyzing for you and it's paralyzing for your team, because now they feel like they can't do anything without it having to be perfect, which is unachievable. It never actually happens. And so if you're constantly putting down your team for their lack of perfection, then you're going to find yourself having a team that doesn't know how to make progress. You're going to be doing the same thing year after year and not getting any better results because nobody's going to be willing to step out and actually move things forward. So I want to encourage you, like, don't get caught up in perfectionism. Even I was launching this podcast here a couple of weeks ago, and one of the team members, I think there was like a spelling mistake on one of the intro, and I almost didn't even bring it up at all because I don't want to pause here, right? I don't want this to take 3 weeks because everybody gets scared about it having to be perfect, right? It's more important many times that you get it done than that you get it done perfectly, right? Done is better than perfect many, many times in business, and paralyzing perfectionism is a distraction, right? And it's a lot of times I think it's more about actually your concern about how you're being perceived by other people, right? Be like, oh, if somebody sees that spelling mistake, or if somebody sees that this is not done perfectly, or that they're going to be judging you. So you're so concerned about what other people are going to think that you actually don't move forward in your business at the rate that you could be and at the pace that you could be moving forward. So don't get stuck in paralyzing perfectionism, but rather move forward, right? Take the steps forward. Don't get caught up in that distraction. The solution to all of this, by the way, the solution for not getting distracted, the solution for staying focused and moving forward is kind of two-part. One is you got to have that clear vision, right? You got to know what it is that you're trying to do to move your business forward, to move your team forward. You got to know where you're going, whether it's a 1-year vision or a 5-year vision. It needs to be really clear to you and your team what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But then not only that, like, you've got to keep that kind of close to you and keep it in front of you so that you can weigh the opportunities that are presented to you against that vision, right? It's what we call opportunity cost, right? We got to understand, like, okay, so if I pursue this idea, how is this going to move me towards a vision, and what am I going to have to not do in order to pursue that? As a leader, you've got to start to discipline your mind to start thinking about opportunity cost. What is it that we're going to have to stop focusing on in order to focus on this, and which one is going to move us quicker towards that vision. So on every episode, we love to have the success challenge of the week, something very practical that you can do to move forward based on what you've heard today. So if you haven't already, this is the success challenge for this week. Get really clear on your end game, right? What does a successful end result look like for you and your business for next year, for the next 5 years? But then don't stop there. Put that vision somewhere close to you on your desk or on your phone, right? And this doesn't have to take very long, like just a few minutes to articulate that vision, and then put it somewhere close to you so that anytime that an opportunity to do something comes your way, you can ask yourself, okay, is this going to move me toward my goal? And what is the opportunity cost of spending my time and energy this way? If you do that, you'll be able to keep yourself from these traps and getting distracted, which can be hugely costly to your business. Well, listen, if you have any questions for me that I might be able to help you with on a future episode, just post them down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to create content that's super helpful for you. So put them in the comments, and my team will tee up those ideas for future episodes. And until then, have a great week, and we'll see you in the next episode. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Great businesses and great leaders are built using effective communication. For more, go to speakingschool.com, grab my Elite Business Success Toolkit for free just for trying out our Speaking School membership. That's speakingschool.com. See you next time.